Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Friday, May 17th, 2019. Hope everyone had a great work week. We've got a lot to talk about tonight in our Grand Solar Minimum News weather update. Let's go ahead and get started here. One of the top stories tonight is this 1.4 million people could be impacted by flooding if this 78-year-old dam, the Prado Dam, fails. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. But let's start off right now with what's going to be happening across the Plain States, across the central part of the United States over the next several days. Now, this is an outlook map through Tuesday, and I'll also go through this as well with the GFS map and show you exactly where the precipitation, where these storms are coming from, where they're heading. And so many times that I have correlated moisture, saturated soil has a cooling effect. And I'm going to start off right off the bat here. Let me go ahead and zoom this in a little bit. Take a look at this, guys. So what I want to point out is this section of the country that has a lot of the heavier rain right in here. Okay? Bear with me for a second before we get into our reports. Let's take a look at Weather Channel's June outlook temperatures. All right. So we notice a lot of moisture in the center part, also cooler temperatures. All right. A little bit of a correlation here. And let's take a look at NOAA. And I think this is mighty wise of them to follow suit with weather.com in a sense. Weather.com has a lot more below average temperatures than slightly below average temperatures, but NOAA is at least addressing this as well, guys. And the reason why I bring this up, this is significant, is that we now have two models that are matching, all because of this. And I'm going to go over this through our report tonight in our weather, but this is what I'm trying to correlate is saturated soil, it has a cooling effect, and NOAA and weather.com both agree in June we are going to see cooling. Now check out, let's go ahead and check out the summer outlook, the 3-month outlook, the June, July, August. There you go. Notice you will see a very similar pattern here for weather.com as well. Here's the June through August outlook right here. So NOAA agrees in two different maps. The 3-month outlook from NOAA, the 3-month outlook from weather.com. Weather.com has been right most of the winter and so far this spring. And to me, what's shocking is this is the first time that I've seen NOAA, and I'm shocked to see them actually putting this much blue on the map. Again, this all goes back to this right here. See all this yellow in the central plain states? Cloud coverage. I mean, folks, we're talking about 20 inches of rain in the next 16 days. So let's get on with it. Multi-day siege of severe weather to hit the plains, the Midwest, tornadoes, hail, damaging winds, flooding. Another round of severe weather will then follow in the plains Monday and Tuesday. Tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds are all threats. Flash flooding is also a significant concern. Rounds of severe thunderstorms with tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, and flooding rain will erupt in the plains Saturday into the weekend, and then again Monday into Tuesday. A pair of energetic weather systems will ride a powerhouse jet stream into the plains and Midwest this weekend into early next week. And when they say powerhouse jet stream, they're not kidding, folks. Bastardi was talking about how this is going to be a record-breaking event with the jet stream. So expect some severe weather is the least bit. And while we're talking about severe weather coming into Saturday, let's talk about some tornado footage here in Nebraska. actually about, I think, 9 miles north of McCook. Now, this was sent to us by a loyal Grand Solar Minimum Channel subscriber. Thank you, Matt, out there in Nebraska, for sending us the footage of the actual tornado just north of his farm. And this footage, actually, we have seen all over weather.news and other weather agencies. So multiple people had spotted this tornado, so it was on the ground for a little bit of time. So again, thank you once again, Matt, for your contribution to the Grand Solar Minimum Channel. But back over here to weather.com for the report. NOAA Storm Prediction Center has issued the following severe weather watches. Now, here's another thing that I don't really see often with weather.com and NOAA. They're actually like complimenting each other here at this point, because finally, at least for June and the next 3 months, it looks like that the Weather Channel and NOAA have some agreements that we are going to see below average temperatures across the region of our country that's going to see lots of moisture. Tornado watch is valid until 10 p.m. for central Nebraska, northwest Kansas, and eastern Colorado. This watch includes the North Platte and Kearney, Nebraska, and Goodland, Kansas areas. A severe thunderstorm watch valid until this one actually is expired in northeast Colorado, southwest Nebraska. Also Scottsbluff, that has been canceled. There's still a severe thunderstorm watch until midnight central time for the northern Nebraska and southern Dakota area, and a severe thunderstorm watch valid until 11 p.m. in central Kansas, including Dodge City. Storms will gradually move eastward through the plains this evening. At least one tornado has touched down near the Nebraska-Kansas border, then tracked northeastward near McCook, which was the footage that we just showed you guys. Already some damage coming in off of Twitter, of course. The supercell went on to produce another tornado later near Cozad, Nebraska on Interstate 80. NOAA Storm Prediction Center has also issued a severe thunderstorm watch through 10 p.m. in Texas Big Bend area for very large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of tornadoes are possible. Tonight, severe thunderstorms will mainly produce large hail and damaging winds. Will move to northeast South Dakota, Nebraska, southwest Minnesota, and northwest Iowa. A tornado or two is possible. Second cluster of severe storms is expected to develop overnight tonight in west central Texas and slide east into pre-dawn hours early Saturday morning with damaging straight-line winds, flooding rain, and perhaps a few tornadoes. These storms will approach I-35 corridor in the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex by early morning. So again, we see the possible areas that are looking at for severe weather for Friday night also match up with this precipitation map, where we expect to see the majority of the rain over the next several weeks. Now it's moving into Saturday. A cluster of severe thunderstorms is expected to be ongoing Saturday morning in parts of north and central Texas into Oklahoma, with damaging winds, flooding rain, and a possible few tornadoes. Severe thunderstorms are possible Saturday from the parts of upper Midwest to parts of Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana, with tornadoes, damaging winds, hail, and flooding rainfall. A second area of severe thunderstorms should flare up in the afternoon further west in parts of western Oklahoma and develop into a second rash of severe storms into the evening and overnight into Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas, with large hail and damaging winds and locally flooding rainfall. This is for Saturday through Saturday night. And by Sunday, we see a weaker threat for severe weather, but we also see some more development in the far west part of Texas, Lubbock, Amarillo, Midland. Damaging winds are primarily the threat from any of these storms on Sunday, although isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. If used strong to severe thunderstorms may flare up in parts of West Texas Sunday night with large hail and locally heavy rain. And here we go. Texas, once that threat of severe weather makes its way across the Midwest by Sunday into Monday, now we have a new wave of severe weather going to plague the same areas just about. Oklahoma, Kansas, not so much northern Nebraska just yet, By early next week, the atmosphere will reload for another round of jet stream energy will swing into the plains, triggering development of more widespread severe weather. Severe thunderstorms are most likely Monday in the plains from North Texas into Oklahoma, but may extend into parts of Kansas. Tornadoes, large hail, damaging winds, and flash flooding seem most likely in these areas on Monday. And then we go into Tuesday. This doesn't move as much north as the last one, but it moves quickly to the east. Now Arkansas, Missouri, parts of Iowa, and Illinois fall into that danger zone. Again, damaging thunderstorm winds, hail, some tornadoes, and flooding rains once again are possible in these areas on Tuesday. And this is the flash flood threat. Repeated rounds of heavy rain over the past week or so triggered significant flooding in parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, including the cities such as Houston, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Jackson, Mississippi, among others. It was the wettest 12 days of May on record in Dodge City, Kansas, the wettest such period since 1904. Texas, and since 1978, both Jackson, Mississippi, and New Orleans, according to Southeast Regional Climate Center. Soil moisture remains at the 99th percentile over a vast swath of the nation's midsection, and some rivers are still above flood stage from the northern plains to the Gulf Coast. We'll get more into that as well. This was the severe weather setup. We talked about this the other night on our broadcast. Folks, this is going to be a busy weekend into the early part of next week, and I'll show you more as we get into the program when we get to the forecast into our extended look. Speaking of Mississippi River's flooding, this article is a couple days old, but I wanted to pass this along because this is important. Mississippi River has been flooding ongoing now for 3 months or longer in some locations, making it the longest lasting flood since the Great Flood of 1927, the worst flood in modern history on the Mississippi River. Take Vicksburg, Mississippi, for example. Mississippi River went above flood stage there on February 17th and has remained in flood ever since. The National Weather Service said it's the longest continuous stretch above flood stage since 1927 at Vicksburg. And by late May, the ongoing Mississippi River flood at Baton Rouge and Red River Landing, Louisiana, will also become the longest lived at those locations since 1927 as well. The river went above its 35-foot flood stage at Baton Rouge on the morning of January 6. Red River Landing has been above its 48 flood stage since December 28th of 2018. The Bonnet Carré spillway, about 27 miles upriver from New Orleans, had to be used for the 13th time in its history, the first time in consecutive years. It's also the 4th time the spillway was used in a single decade. Again, the most in the history. So let's stop right there. We have this report of more flooding in the past 10 years than ever in history. Makes sense to me. 2008, 2009, 2010, we were in solar minimum where our sun was at the least part of its activity, and it was reported that that solar minimum in solar cycle 24 was the deepest in 150 years. So we start to see the influx of cosmic rays at this point. And the fact that this story is mentioning the flood situations for the past decade, and it's only getting worse now as we begin another low period of solar activity, once again heading into solar cycle 25. So here's another correlation of how sunspot and solar cycles do influence the climate. How these solar cycles, they are almost right on point. And here's proof of it by when we see these continuing trends in flood stages and records being smashed from almost 100 years ago. The Mississippi River at Quad Cities of Iowa and Illinois observed its longest stretch of major flood stage on record. The river was in major flood stage for 51 consecutive days from March 23rd through May 12th. The previous record was 31 days from mid-April to mid-May back in 2001. Records for the most consecutive days above major flood stage were also set at New Boston, Illinois, Keithsburg, Illinois, and Burlington, Iowa. More than 260 river gauges were reported levels above flood stage on Tuesday. Of those, 23 gauges reported major flooding, 70 at moderate, and 169 at minor flooding. And here we have a map right here of the estimated precipitation from January 1st through May 13th, 2019. Mario stepping over.
Because it's like a pet peeve of mine, and it took me a while, but I thought I could deal with it. I can't. Can you make this window bigger? It's just in OBS. No. This right here isn't set right. Sorry, producer problems. I wish I could do that remotely, but I can't. Sorry.
That's what you stopped the show for.
Yes, I did. Because it was only half screen.
Gotcha.
Drive me crazy. Sorry.
So, before my OCD producer stopped me here, we were looking at a map. Just kidding, folks. I love her to death. But no, we're looking at a precipitation map here since January 1st to May 13th, 2019. Lots of rain across the south. Now, it almost feels like here in the recent trend, that heavy precipitation right in here is shifting further backwards west. All right. So this is current up-to-date weather information, but we're also looking at this area won't be updated. Let's check this out on the 21st. I guarantee you that we will see a very similar situation here in the deep south, and we'll see it again in the Central Plains in the next few days. And again, here we go. I know you're getting tired. It's repetitive, right? But it's true. That equals this equals this. That, and that. Okay? Are we starting to get this a little bit here? Some folks are saying, well, it's spring. It's supposed to be cool and rainy. Yeah, you're right. April showers brings May flowers. And we're still getting April's showers and then some. And I have a chart to show us our precipitation as well, guys. It's interesting to see where we're at right now. Okay, so a lot of dam threats, and I'm not cursing. A lot of dam threats here about how they might be failing. This one actually might be. Corona, California, federal engineers are raising alarms that a significant flood event could breach the spillway of Southern California's aging Prado Dam and potentially inundate dozens of Orange County communities from Disneyland to Newport Beach. After conducting an assessment of the 78-year-old structure earlier this month, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced that it was raising dam risk category from moderate to high. Our concern right now is about the concrete slab in the spillway. How well will it perform if we were to spill water over the top of the dam? We will determine whether or not it is reliable as it should be. Location beside the 91 freeway on the border of Riverside and Orange counties, the dam contains little to no water for much of the year. During periods of heavy rain, however, the structure is intended to collect water and prevent flooding along the Santa Ana River. And this continues to go on and talk about the how much money it will cost to upgrade some of these facilities. But I mention this because this dam here has a little more. This one was what we're a little bit more worried about than the Oroville Dam, and we've had tons of subscribers comment about the possibility of the Oroville Dam failing. And Mari did a great job of finding a lot of information about the reservoir situation in California. I believe the blue is the of capacity right now, and the red is historic average. And clearly it states that we are 96% at capacity. We are not at full capacity. We're getting close, but it's not yet at full capacity. So I'm not here to say that there isn't maybe a concern for a watch on how much rain we get from these atmospheric rivers. But at the current time, from the information that Mari has pulled up, I mean, it does not appear that Oroville Dam is in any kind of imminent danger. These are flood levels here, folks, on these rivers in Washington and Oregon along Northern California. The green diamonds, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you guys can see them. The green diamonds stand for normal conditions. The white is missing information, and of course the orange and red's above flood. The purple is the danger zone. All right, just think of Kenny Loggins when you see the purple stuff. A lot of missing information, I will grant that, but you have to look at downstream where some of the rivers are reporting normal conditions at this point. So at the current moment, everything seems to be in decent shape when it comes to flooding in that part of the country. Now, we're going to have to keep our eyes on this area for the next few days with moisture and atmospheric rivers and continue to monitor this area. We're not saying that it's not a possibility, but at this point, I think a lot of fears about Oroville Dam failing. Until I see other data right now, I'm pretty sure Mari and I are going to have to say right now those are nothing but rumors at this point, and that we urge caution with these reports, but at the same time we also want to make sure the accurate information gets passed along. And right now there's just not enough evidence supporting that we are looking at some troubled issues. Interesting little chart here. Northern Sierra 8 station precipitation index for water for the year 2019, updated on May 17th, 2019, this afternoon at 4:48. Now the blue marks represent the average, and the yellow is obviously what's happening right now. February in the Sierras was amazing about how much precipitation we received. An outstanding, off the charts amount of precipitation, snow, rain, whatever. This is pretty accurate. Early snow in November. Some people say snow in November means a dry December. Well, check out December in the Sierras. They were below average in their precipitation for the month of December. And then that's when things started to peak up again. January above average to 13.2 inches, and February was a 21.7 inches. March fell into a 9.7. April went down to a 3.9, which was slightly above average. May, so far, we're halfway through the month, and we're already 0.6 above average so far. So interesting charts here. They match up to pretty much everything that we've talked about so far this past January through the spring. But again, what's so important tonight is that we finally see a very clear, in my opinion, correlation that we are finally starting to come together, that there will be some cooler temperatures across the middle part of the country. That can be agreed upon. I'm not saying that proves that we're cooling as a globe, but to see the two different sides actually show a similar forecast. Usually NOAA's way opposite of what weather.com. And kudos to weather.com for hiring an independent and researching company, the IBM company, to come up with these forecast models. And folks, this company that the weather.com uses, they have written 2 articles for weather.com stating that the reason for the cooler temperatures from this past winter had very much to do with the solar minimum that we were in. That was the first time that we've ever seen mainstream media acknowledge the solar cycles having some kind of effect to our winters. What is that saying right there when weather.com produces an article that states that it has that impact, the solar cycles impact the climate, which only means one thing, guys. The sun drives the climate. So, in review, this equals this and that. Very close, guys. This is NOAA's 3-month outlook, weather.com's 3-month outlook. Not much difference. And usually NOAA is always warmer. Always warmer. It has been for the past 8 months. I've been doing this for 3 years now, following this stuff closely. And NOAA and weather.com are always off. But tonight, like I said, we're starting to see some correlations with science, solar cycles, and now some of these weather agencies are actually syncing up. And I'd be interested to hear from NOAA about how they came up with this particular situation. Sure, the obvious reason is going to be this. All that moisture. They know it causes a cooling. So if what we've been reporting on for the past 3 years on this channel about increased cosmic rays because of the weaker magnetosphere, so more particles, particulates in the atmosphere. Yes, we were warm in 2016. We hit record temps. That put a lot of water vapor in the atmosphere all over the world. Warming of oceans release CO2, more vapor. But now we are throwing an abundance of highly charged particles in our atmosphere almost on a daily basis, record levels. And it's going to continue to plunge over the next 3 to 4 years. So if this is just the tip of the iceberg, no pun intended, I mean, is this a sign that NOAA is starting to wake up and smell the coffee? Now, if you go to their page here and you look at after their summer outlook, I mean, they're right back at it. They're, September through October, it's going to be record warmth, I'll watch out for old October, November. It's going to be a warmer fall this year all across the country, guys. I don't get into this long-term 5, 6, 8 month outlook. I mean, come on. They're saying in November that we're looking at warmer temperatures, above average temperatures. We all know what we're heading into. Check out the January. Look at this. I mean, the information they're following right now is based on solar cycles. And this tells me that this model is incomplete and they haven't even finished it yet. They haven't even begun to do the work on this one yet. They're only accurate through here. And I say this because these two match. And the only reason why I say that's proof enough for me is because weather.com with their IBM weather research group has been almost accurate with the temperature forecast and the precipitation forecast. Just an obvious point out here, guys. That's all. All right, let's take a quick look at our GFS. This is going into tonight, overnight, into Saturday. You see we get a little bit of break here in the northern plains, northern Nebraska, South Dakota. It's your turn to get some rain overnight. As we put this in motion, we have severe weather possibility in the northern plains. And then early Saturday, we start to see shower activity fire up once again in northern Texas near the Oklahoma border. As we continue through the day Saturday and into the overnight, more severe weather is a possibility heading into Arkansas and Louisiana overnight into Sunday early morning. Nebraska, Kansas also in the threat. But look at this, guys. Behind this front, we've got snow in the upper elevations, and this is where we start to get the bulk of that moisture, and this is where some people are concerned about flooding. And I just showed that we are looking at decent conditions right now for flood stages in those rivers. But this major low pressure system here across the central United States continues to strengthen on Sunday and moving east by the end of the day Sunday and weakening a bit overnight into early morning on Monday, but just causing a soggy mess in the northeast on the first part of the week, Monday, May 20th. Consistent rainfall throughout the morning and the afternoon, all the way through Monday night in the northeast. Lingering showers as well into Monday overnight into Tuesday. And then here we have another system firing up again. So we're talking about severe weather outbreaks across this area here, here, and here into Monday and Tuesday. And then by Monday, here's that second wave of severe weather activity beginning to form up, and it really intensifies by early morning Tuesday. Again, snow in the higher elevations behind us, And it looks like we have another moisture system approaching the northern California, the Sierras. Lots of snow in the upper elevations, but look at Tuesday. Intense storm should be upon Kansas near Wichita, Topeka, and heading into Missouri as well and parts of southern Iowa. Kansas, it looks like, or I'm sorry, Nebraska and South Dakota is just an all-rain event. But then on the backside of this, some heavier precipitation does fire up in the overnight hours and could bring severe weather with that as well. This storm continues to move out east, bringing a severe threat, a minor one, Wednesday into Illinois and Indiana before just turning into a plain old rain system here by the 23rd. And look at this, again across the Central Plains, more weather is firing up across the region. This time is not as severe. This is a weaker system, only because high pressure begins to dominate here off the East Coast, cycling this moisture back out of the Atlantic. Now, this does give the Northeast a little bit moisture, but it's not going to be as heavy as what we've seen. And then as that high pressure system struggles to keep in place here in the southern part of the Atlantic, we see more intense rain starting to develop once again, Oklahoma into Kansas, across the Ohio Valley into the Atlantic states of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and this is all by next weekend. So the next 7 days, we can expect at least, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to count these over again. So we have 1, 2, 3, a minor one, third one on Thursday, and then refiring up Friday as the fourth system into Saturday, kind of remaining stationary. Areas are going to receive heavy rain that doesn't need it right now, and then kind of weakens out by Saturday night. So 4 systems across the Central Plains in the next 7 days, which is why we're going to see this. All that yellow right there, guys. Most of the, okay, so this is the next 16 days. Most of this rain is going to come in the next 7 days. The majority of this rain here in the Central Plains is coming in the next 7 days. Moving a little bit further, I'm not going to go too much farther. Just to give you an idea, though, we do see another low pressure system form once again in the Central Plains by Sunday, May 26th. So basically what the GFS is reporting to us right now, and once again, May 27th. The indications here, to me, are plain and simple. This pattern is going to be one storm after the other across Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Michigan. The next 2 weeks are going to be pretty wet. And hence, that's the reason why we're seeing this forecast for June through August. Because this pattern, guys, I'll tell you right now, this thing looks like it's in place. The one constant I see here in this weather forecast is we're catching this high pressure system dominating the South Atlantic and always finding a way to break through these in between these low pressure systems to kind of sneak in and kind of dominate this pattern of weather, to where now we're protecting the Deep South. The Deep South does get some moisture, but it's not as prominent as it once was in the beginning of May and end of April. We were getting drenched down there. Now we're talking about Central Texas through the Central Plains into the Midwest, into the Atlantic states, and through the Northeast. I also want to point out too tonight, let's go ahead and move this up so you guys can see. We do not have any indication at this time that there will be any kind of hurricane or tropical storm system. We reported on Wednesday night that there was a chance of a low pressure system getting its act together. And believe me, folks, the temperatures are definitely going to be in favor for a potential storm if it did come through the area. I'll go ahead and show you guys what we're looking at here over the next several weeks. And we see that heat wave beginning at probably around the 21st of May and continues all the way through June. So let's pause it here. We start to see the 90s pop up around May 18th in the Carolinas. And then by the time we get to May 19th, we're seeing the more widespread 90s. But look at the cool temperatures here in the middle part of the country. That has everything to do with all the rain they're about to get. Look, Ohio, that's also a swath that we're going to see rain going through. Look at this. I mean, everything lines up to their models. This is not just propaganda, folks. This area right here reflects why these temperatures are like this. All right, this is through Tuesday. And then this heat wave really starts getting going down May 22nd in the south. Mainly Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida. You guys are going to see the hottest temperatures of the year, obviously, as it's May. But this heat wave can go on for at least 7. Right now, it appears it only lasts for about 8 days at this point, but that's long enough. And then it kind of slides a little bit further back to the west, and areas like Louisiana, you should be drying out at this point because of the high pressure that's kind of turning that weather just north of you guys into the northeast. You guys are starting to dry out to this point. This might be an indication of why we are starting to see warmer temperatures further west, and again the heat will begin to make a grip in the far southeast again. So if I had to guess, which right now just watching the patterns and watching these weather maps and watching these temperature maps, I would have to say that we will continue to see dry weather throughout the end of May into June in this area indicated right here. Just based on what we're talking about tonight and what we've been talking about, I would have to say that the southeast is going to remain fairly dry. We're going to see probably an average precipitation, barely that possibility. Areas that we still see the green and the yellows and the reds. Look, we start to warm up. We should warm up in these areas here. Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. It's June. We're supposed to be right here. We'll see if that changes, though. They may be overshooting this. I don't know. Going backwards, looking at this. Moderate 70s, 60s, northeast, northwest, staying rather cool in my opinion. So already a very strange start to our spring. It's been cool, rainy, wet, broken records, rainfalls, floods, you name it. Hail, tornadoes are getting, it seems like, I mean, what, we've had over 300 tornadoes already in 2019, and last year we rarely had anything to talk about when it came to severe weather outbreak. I think the next 7 days are probably going to be rated as the peak of our spring severe weather, and this is right in the dead peak of right in the middle of spring. And I'm telling you, the next few weeks are going to be a bumpy ride. Again, thanks to Matt Bros for sending us this video. This was shot by him right outside his farm out there in near McCook, Nebraska. This was earlier this evening. We appreciate your contribution to our channel. Thank you for sharing this information. Guys, we really encourage everyone to leave us a comment and tell us about the weather in your part. If you live in Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Northern California, the Northeast, the Southeast, right? Especially right now in the Southeast, we're looking at a very, like I said, consistent high pressure pattern set up over the Southeast that's going to allow some extreme heat to move into the region, A, because of dry conditions, pulling that warmth out of the Gulf. So again, we want to hear from you guys. It's important. We hear reports about farm availability of work in the fields, and a lot of times we get the opposite reporting back in our chat. So Mari, I'm done here with the weather report. I probably went on a little longer than I wanted, but there was a lot to cover tonight. Was there anything you'd like to add before we hit off air tonight?
Oh, I just want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Charles Scott popped in. He had something, a neat thing to say. I'm going to read it. He put, remember 12 inches of rain equals a foot of snow. As the winters grow longer, the snowpack will also increase. So definitely, it's like, you look at this precipitation, you're like, gosh, good thing it's not colder down there, huh?
Right.
That's all I got, G.
That's all you got. All right.
Really don't have a whole lot of chit chat. I will shout out to Matt. He's in the chat. Matt Bros.
Oh, cool.
He's the guy that shot this video of the tornado. Thank God he's safe.
Yes, that's important,
that's
people.
Dangerous. I can't even imagine.
Yep.
That must have been thrilling to see in person. But wow, stay safe.
Make sure when you guys are shooting these videos that we keep safety in mind. And we will keep you guys updated through the weekend as needed as well. We will continue to monitor the severe thunderstorm outbreak, the continuous rains that are happening across the Central Plains. Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, the most impacted today so far. We will continue to watch more. In Northern California, we will also keep an eye on a possibility of flooding due to certain rain events out there. Till then, guys, have a great evening, and we will talk soon.